Hello everyone, this is Fernando Guimarães recording this webinar from Brazil. I used to live in Boston, Massachusetts until up to 2012, and I was part of the NCGR Boston area, also a fan. And I would like to show this presentation that I did show on September last year, 2019. Inspired by this opera Carmina Burana about the goddess Fortuna, empress of the world, and the relationship with all the eclipses and conjunctions that we are experiencing Capricorn and the eclipses and the squares ingress. So uh, Carmina Burana is this, the music by Karl Orff, based upon some medieval poetry, poems that it was satire and irony about, the eroticism, the spring festivals, and all the things that, we can see also in Shakespeare. It's really, for those that do not know it very well, I would suggest research on Wikipedia about and to listen in YouTube some of the orchestras and composition. The title of this work was Astrology and Cycles, Gods of Change, the Slow Planets, Great Conjunctions, in 2020. I chose Saturn and Pluto conjunction because I did not went into Jupiter conjunctions with Pluto, and next in 2021 we have Jupiter conjunctions with Saturn in Aquarius. You can see the Wheel of Fortune. I love those pictures because it's a very strong symbol. It's very linked to the tarot card. Now you see from one side going down, the other side going up, the bottom, and fire, hell, and the king in heavens. That shows that it's a relationship to the also Buddhism, that shows this wheel that rotates, and sometimes we are on the bottom, sometimes we are on the top. That's how the wealth and richness in the world, prosperity, happens throughout times and cycles, and the planetary cycles in mundane astrology, political astrology. And so specifically, we're talking about cardinal Earth, Capricorn, because Pluto was discovered when it was transiting in Cancer. So we never had in our consciousness and studies in astrology Pluto in Gemini or in Capricorn, Aquarius, neither Pisces or Aries, because of the 200 something year cycles, and it was discovered in 1930. So we still have a long way to go through the equinox and solstice points, cardinal points, and to get this message. Probably we are not going to be there to see those, cycles in Aries and Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer again. So the pandemics come across this. I did not show the pandemics. So we all knew, the financial crisis, government crisis, values, so, society, and all customs, jobs and banks, all this stuff. But we didn't read. I didn't read much about the pandemics in this year, although some people said that Andre Barbeau, the French, mundane astrologer that passed away with 95 years old in France a few years ago, last year or year before. So the Wheel of Fortune is that's what this Kamina Burana fortune talks about. Um, so this is what I would like to show you. Let me see. This presentation topics overview. We are going to talk about fortune, prosperity, the opera, Jupiter, Zeus, and the cornucopia of prosperity, Cronus, Saturn, god of time, and the Reaper, that challenges and comes to, to request about, what we have learned and if we did our job, homework, the gods of the underworld, especially because of Pluto, also, the change in mundane and personal lives. I show about movies and popular culture, some arts about these gods in the movies. Then I go through the Pollyanna mode of denial and complex because of the rites of passage and of innocence that comes along. This is a series or the matter and Persephone kidnapping, the seasons, fall, winter, season, spring, and summer. It brings also Lilith as uh, a symbol, the demons and eroticism, medieval, about the nightmares. Let me see if I will talk about incubus and succubus, right? I will show some charts about Pluto discovery, World War One and Two, the moon wobble. I think it is not correctly spelled. I'm sorry. The lunar eclipse of January 2020, I think it was, the hallmark, the beginning of beginnings of those chains, because the uh, lunar nodes were connecting with the slow planets and also the planetary nodes. The nodes bending, how important it is, the chains of nodes now from that axis of cardinal axis, um, Capricorn and Cancer, now going into Gemini and North Node and Sagittarius, more about changing the structure, mutable, but air, which is uh, not so good for breathing conditions of pandemics, and international matters, that goes with Sagittarius. We also talk about some of the calendar days and zodiac degrees to see, people that are not astrologers or astrology literate, they could understand a little bit. And what I like the most is the social power pyramid, also misspelling, sorry, and demographics of vulnerabilities of the people and individuals to be victims of those faces. Then 15th, Kundalini Nord, the energy of a healing vibration and also destruction, and the emotional scale chart. Also, energy vibration has to do with Dianetics. That's something. The only thing that I learned and got from this character development for screenplay writing. It talks about emotional scale faces and uh, expressions and all the emotional scale. I think it has to do with the vibration that we are changing our energy, frequencies, resonance. Every time I talk about resonance or hear about that, I think of harmonics as well. And I think that's the way out of the crisis on a personal level, collective level, local level, national level, international level. And I, I showed the bibliography, the books that inspired me, plus uh, besides the music. Okay. So before we go into Jupiter, the cornucopia of prosperity and fortune, we can see. And then we change to Saturn and Chronos time, time is getting short, death, the bargain, the detachment, desperation, the myth that Saturn was, eating their child, the fear, the beautiful although scary. Um, so that's just one song from the whole opera. Is really worth knowing. And it's scary, it's dark, heavy, deep, but we have to go through it collective and personally. I would like to show now some of the pictures, some illustration from websites, from the web that shows some of this dark, powerful, serious, and threatening expression of gods of the underworld, and all the fear, the promises of transformation, no certainties. You know, psychologically, we can see a lot of traumas, a lot of bad experience. The tarot card here, the judgment day, whatever. So it really shows they really were dark clothes and caps and hoods, masks, sometimes hiding the face. And we can think of, transits to ascendant, because our ascendant is our persona, the mask that we carry to protect our sun sign and moon sign especially. And so Saturn and Pluto has a lot to do with this kind of images. Some of these pictures comes from movies and shows this, what we could call Hades or Pluto gods, and from Greek tradition, but also from any other traditions. And this famous movie, I think it got an award. Yes, it did. Academy Award. It's called The Labyrinth, and we can see several symbols here. That is from the top right corner, that all this change and end of innocence and transition crisis happening during World War. You know, so the wheel of fortune, people that have wealthy, they lose everything they have just to survive and save their lives. All the characters have this strange face and scary. We can see on the bottom left here the girl character, like Persephone, that goes to the underworld, and the mother says, "Do not take and do not eat anything that is offered to you, because then you're gonna be, paying a high price, being locked down, being whatever." Um, we see the figure on top left as a monster, also prophet, because it has the vision and sees through the hands and seducing the little child. You see this difference, age difference. In the middle, we can see that the forest has an opening like a portal, like different dimensions, like transitions in life and age, infancy or childhood, adolescence, teenage years, and adulthood. Because once you cross that gate, that portal, um, or door or whatever, stairs, you don't come back the same. Either you don't come back ever, or you come back changed, or you could die, or you find truth that will change forever. So here I have some more pictures that we get from, African Egypt traditions. For Judgment Day, the dark shadows of the nights, winged creatures. To the right, we have the dark night, with bats, more Pluto than that. I don't shadows and colors. And on the top left, you can see the mask and the hat that really impressed me on that sad um, work that uh, in the movie Amadeus about Mozart. The shadow of his father, strict father Allah persecuting him and going after him and scaring him. So all this, the memory that, whatever we carry from the past. Then we come to the opposite side. Springtime, we have this Pollyanna character that, Jupiterian, Sagittarian, always fine, everything is beautiful, you know, so living in denial. I can see here on this on the book Great Illustrated Classics, we see Pollyanna, in the garden with the flower, just like Persephone or Proserpina. And by smelling and collecting the flowers, she really is kidnapped, going to the underworld. And when I think about the underworld and about plants, that what could have been those flowers in the gardens, and it came to my mind that mandrake flower and root you see in that movie Harry Potter, that baby root was complaining, and something that is really links the vegetable, the green world, the plant world, to the human feelings and human world. It's a really funny shapes they have. So, like if you smell the flower, will bring you down to the roots, and you become, or Pollyanna becomes, Persephone becomes a creature from the underworld of underneath. So when she matures and loses the innocence, she is able to become Lilith, So she comes back as a dominatrix, like a woman that, knows what she wants, is not going to be, she's a queen now, even in the Wonderworld. She cannot see her mother anymore, but she dressed classy, and she's connected to the Kundalini, to the sexual energy. And it's really interesting how those symbols are still in the movies, in our culture, opposing to other female figures in literature and in the movies. Here you can see the pictures of what they call incubus, that are male demons, and succubus, that are female demons, that visit people, especially they said in dreams, nightmares, and the medievals, especially like priests and nuns, stealing their sexual energy during sleeps and promoting like erotic dreams and things like that. Is really it can be really scary, and um, all those energy that comes from the unconscious and from the basic, life supporting energy of the lower chakras, and it had to be to the libido, to the tantra experience with couple of individual. And we know that what this repression and all this hatred, because if you cannot leave, the creative energy concentrated from instinct, human instinct, we can see it's project outside in war, in relationship, fanaticism, fascism, Nazi stuff. So we can see here several pictures are here from either World War One, World War II. The upper right, we see like a earthquake in Mexico City. We saw the bombing of Hiroshima, if I'm not mistaken, to Um, and bottom left, we can see the wars in Syriana, the way they call, and dragging all the superpower into play, which is very sad. Mostly by male energy. That's what we're talking about. And here we come say, why is this special time in 2020 different? Not only because Pluto in Capricorn was not in human consciousness before 1930, but because Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, the players in Capricorn, this year were transiting each other not only, but also they were transiting their own south node in Capricorn, opposing to their north node in Cancer, where curiously Pluto was during the wartime in its discovery in 1930. You can see that changed a little bit. So we see, Jupiter when it was 10, 15 Capricorn was in the south node. Saturn was there too. And Pluto, about 20 Capricorn south node is 1980. So we can update that through, ephemeris, and I guess solar fire also show us in our charts or whatever mundane charts for today. So Pluto transited all the slow transiting in Capricorn went through, even alone, Jupiter nodes its own node and now going to Saturn node, calling together the quality and energy of Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter. The same for Jupiter that are now transiting Pluto and all those nodes. Saturn that went there and 30 years ago was there as well, even alone in conjunction with the Jupiter south node, Pluto south node, and its own south node Saturn. And then they go together, opposition, when they travel in their orbs, Jupiter in average 12 years, Saturn average 29, 30 years. They have the conjunction with the North Node in Cancer. So it's really serious and shows the uniqueness of these times because we are not going to see this again. Even, let's say, if Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn get a triple conjunction in Aquarius, Pisces, or whatever, it's not gonna be. They can square the bendings, right? Aries and Libra, 10th degree, 19th and 23rd, is the square for their own nodes when they cross. And it's really serious. Also, it has to do with the moon nodes and eclipses. And that what we had not here, but let's see 1930. Can you see here the brown, like Pluto was around very close to the moon, and Pluto close to Pluto's own north planetary node, heliocentric I'm using, right? It can be. So Saturn was in Capricorn, also traveling through all the three planetary nodes for Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. And the interesting thing is the Sun and Venus was in Aquarius, what is showing the next conjunction, great conjunction of Jupiter and Capricorn in Aquarius, which also brings a different energy for future technology and humanity, which I think. So we could go around, but we are, the nodes were like energy signs, right? The Sun was past the bending square nodes. We have here Uranus and Aries, Chiron, Jupiter. Anyways, so this is interesting to observe. And the Pluto discovery showing its energy in the World War One, 1914. We have it here again, Jupiter very close to Pluto, like Pluto was already in the past solstice point, summertime for northern hemisphere, and what they call northern hemisphere is a different karma, let's say collective karma. And then now Pluto in Capricorn is in the southern hemisphere. But when they all crosses the slow planet, they crosses declinations going to northern declinations and signs after 0 Aries, the equinox. They all take the energy or collective karma to the northern hemisphere, which is going to be, it was Uranus in Aries, now it's going to be Neptune going into 0 Aries, then Saturn is going to go 0 Aries, Jupiter is going to go 0 Aries, and long ahead, Pluto is going to one day to travel to the equinox cardinal point. We see the picture must have something is horrible, even to see in pictures or in movies. And we have this denial of Julian. I think that we are never going to see this again. Similar, worse, but I'm afraid we are not learning the lessons. And you start with individually, in the family, in the school, in the city, the culture, national culture, and international, languages, or United Nations. So let's see. Here, I would like to show in October last year, we had this, the sun was in the bending, was 9 degrees to the lunar node, which is called moon wobble, no eclipse, because moon wobble. This concept, if you could go Google it, moon wobble was Carl Payne studies about moon wobble. Some dear colleagues in the U.S. has doing some research and writings, and also a Facebook group on this. Is really interesting because you see the sun in 12 degrees Libra could have been, this is Gaia point. 12 Aries is this cross or is square, great cross of the square, 9 degrees, 180 degrees to the node, very close to, to the moon. And then, the moon is going to go also cross Saturn and Pluto, were again together in Capricorn or in a cardinal signs close, so the moon's nodes, Saturn and Pluto, going crossing Capricorn sign. It has to do also with 10th house, governments, and all this in society, banking, finances, structures, organizations. They all go through the heliocentric planetary nodes of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. And I wonder also here myself, if we consider the 11th house Aquarius as being, group association, so as an astrology itself, what the change and the billing that Saturn is going to have now, starting with these epidemics and, inadequacies of group gatherings, the technology, or how this, the astrological associations and conferences and technology, computers, astronomy is going to happen when they go through here. And somewhere in here is the Neptune planetary node. So that's going to be interesting to see. Okay, it's also a period of instability that we have to master and learn. So all this showed very clearly the lunar eclipse of January 2020, because look at those guys, the main characters, right? Protagonists, what they say, the actors, right? We have the moon's nodes, south nodes, Jupiter, Sun, Mercury, Ceres, Saturn, Pluto, Mars was going through and went already. Now it's going to go through Mars, square all this stuff in here in the next month. So it's going to trigger a lot of this dialogues. Venus has just went through this, and every month the moon goes that way. Was the eclipse, so it affects all the symbols as a lunar eclipse. Let's see. That was on the January, okay, first month of the year, so it's not January 12th. Great conjunction Saturn planet in the cycle. So here we had they very close together. There was not so bad as expected, but it's still, uh, planting the seeds we are going to have, just like a cosmic drama, like Mars it went through this, now it's going to square all of this, then come here and it's going to oppose all of this. And, let's say every 6 months it goes that way. It takes about a long time in areas now, but usually a year and 6 months, 8 months, or 2 years to Mars, one of the triggers. And every month, the nations, full moon, new moon, or eclipses. Now we are going to have C0 Cancer. June, we are going to have an eclipse right here, opposing and saying farewell, going this way, farewell to the axis, cardinal axis, and moving into the subjects of learning, traveling, commerce, exchange, communication, transportation, language translation, church, law, etc. It's just an overview because that's too much. Here in my talk last year was important for us here in Brazil to see the chart of the inauguration of President Bolsonaro in Brazil in January 1st, 2019. So, in spite of Brazil having their National Independence Day chart, we could see here that, the president is considered to be the Sun was very close to Saturn, and Saturn close to Pluto, and close to the South Node. Venus and the Moon in Scorpio with their Nakam. To see that, it's not funny. This necropolitics, genocide, death, love, and destruction, and that's not helping the people. Uranus is the midheaven in the 12th house with Aries, Sirius. So all the feminine, female could be the secretaries, ministries, and the female movements, the mother, the journalist, and all that's happened through this in the mandate, this president mandate. So we have here, if like Trump and Bolsonaro, they have 4-year mandates. So each quadrant is 1 year, starting here ascendance from here to here, 90 degrees is the first years of mandate, the president's. Now the second year starts here. So every sign 30 degrees is like a fourth of the year, more or less, I would say, like for let's see, for a month times 3. Then we have the 12 month, so the inauguration that is going to be here. So January 1st, 2021, it's going to be here. The ascendant is going to be in the whole, that's going to be the third year. And this is the last year of mandate. So we can see, like if we use the Uranian cosmobiology symmetrical 9-degree dials, we can see that every time we have transited eclipses in the cardinal signs, or let's say in the cardinal signs, we have conjunction, square, and opposition to this here. So every time we have, fixed signs here and here, we have square, conjunction, opposition in the 90-degree dial, right? So this is like first semester up to here, and the second semester, the end of the year, and the beginning of the year of first mandate, of the first year of mandate. So he is going to be the first 4 month of the third year of the mandate, and here the last 4 month, end of the year of the third year of the mandate. Here is empty, so it's going to be doing opposition to here. It's going to be doing square to here, right? Square to here. So let's see what happens. I showed this dial that I like to show students about 1 degree 1 day, because they say, well, Pluto is now about 25 degrees of Capricorn, and Jupiter is there too. Saturn was the beginning of Aquarius. So how it affects the sun signs? And you could say, well, those who has the sun or any planets here and this degree of Capricorn was born probably in January 16th, right? And those who has 5 degrees of Capricorn birthday was born around December 27th, right? So Saturn is right here in the beginning of Aquarius, so is getting, is charging or, um, you know, asking for the homework of those who were born in January 21st, 22nd, up to here. So we can see the birthdays of people here and how that connects with the degrees of the signs. So Uranus is around here, right? Taurus, so people who were born April 26th, April 21st, May 1st are getting the conjunction of transiting Uranus through their sun in their birthday or else. So it's a nice way to see, right? Pisces. Neptune is right here. So it's right Neptune conjunction with the sun of birthday people in March. And that goes. So this is good to explain to clients and students. Here I come to my favorite pyramid. It's a demographic by one of social worker therapists in California, San Francisco area, Knievel, I have in bibliography. And he works with the domestic violence perpetrators that are in jail for domestic violence, and they try to make them understand who is more vulnerable in society to receive this treatment, violence, less resource or medical care, education, and promotion in jobs. So here we have male on the top of the pyramid. So just by being male, you have a more chance to be dominant and powerful. Unfortunately, unless you are a Caucasian female, then you have more power, social power demographics. But if you're not Caucasian, male or female, then you lose this top position right here. Okay, so female never goes that way. I don't, I don't want to get in discussion about, transgender or whatever, but it has to do with, you know, culture and other um, subjects. So male here, Caucasian. This is what is not my words. This is in his book, and that's what he says is regarding USA. Of course, if you change countries in Eastern countries, Southern Hemisphere, Russia, Japan, China, in Egypt, or Muslim culture, Hindu, Catholic, Protestant, Buddhism, you are going to see a change in those values. So heterosexual that are able to marry and have children has more value. Adults has more power than teenagers and children's. More choices. CEOs, boss, they own their own business or they are in good position in a company. They have more power than those that don't. Teachers that have more knowledge, you know, regarding their students in the classroom, they have more power. Those who have higher education, college degree, could be a master degree, doctorate. So it gives more power to those here if it's in conjunction with his here, or even if they are not a CEO or adult or heterosexual. So, but having a good education, it really opens some doors. Speak second, third languages, and they travel, right? Reads a lot of books, write books. Okay, so a lot of astrologers are right here, or they are their own boss. So they are right here. They are adults, astrologers, right? Politicians. If we look into their finance and property, those who have one or more two houses, beach houses, mountain um, cabins, whatever. They own islands and airplanes. So, even if you don't uh, belong to some of those here, they still have value, social value, and they can protect themselves from um, hunger, um, some health problems. Able body and good health. They don't need to take a lot of medicines or surgeries, or they are able to practice sports and run and do their own things. Fly there. So they have more power than those handicaps, even if the handicap is an adult heterosexual Caucasian. The finance and able body could tell. And here citizenship, right? If they are native born, if they are not immigrants, and here you can say if they are, it belongs to you know, to the main political party in their town, state, or federal government, right? So we could turn this upside down and show who has less power and to be aware of this when they do social service, when we do some counseling to see if the transit and solar art or progressions, if they are related in those, hindrance or those, I don't know how to call, it's not in the way, right? But this makes a difference. A lot of things here we cannot see in the astrological chart. We are not able to look at a chart and see if it's a human chart of a male or female, or if it's a chart of enterprise, a factory, a store. We cannot for sure say that it's heterosexual, gay or lesbian chart with children, without children, married. We cannot show a lot of things, if they fulfill their education. A lot of things you can think. We look at a chart, we don't know if it's, they are first, second generation of immigrants. This is very important because, when we talk about mundane astrology, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, those people here are going to react differently to the crisis, for better or for worse. And I really hope you take a look at the Knievel, Knievel, or his books. Always show, right? But on the other side, we have go down with the energy and prophecies and all bad things and aspect. But then we have to remember that, ancient teaching tells about the Kundalini, that energy goes through chakra from the bottom up. bring energy, healing, or some kind of complexities, right? In the Hindu tradition, they have qualities. Color therapy brings, they connect to planetary symbols. It's really important to me. It's connected strongly with medical astrology and spiritual astrology, energy astrology, um, so what have you, and we take into this consideration so we can work with all those body and energy therapies to protect ourselves from a lot of mental, physical, emotional pressures from the times of crisis, individually, in family, in the collective, national, etc. This is very important, even for those that do not believe in these traditions, those who do not practice any kind of therapy, what they call that, uh, alternative therapies like yoga, tantric massage, meditation, Bach flowers remedies, color therapies, gems and precious stones, and homeopathy. But it's good to take into consideration the science says, those are the vibration, the megahertz, I guess, maybe what they call from the omega to the alpha point to the omega. We see the colors differences, the rainbow, the consciousness, and what it brings, the vibration and the color therapy, peace, joy, love, reason, acceptance, willingness, courage, and then we start getting to pride, anger, some material desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, and shame. With a low vibration, probably more um, able to get into some kind of crisis, depression, illnesses. When I was working with that hospital, the clinic, hospital about um, substance abuse and recovery, we saw a lot of guilt and shame about their uh, childhood abuse and relationship with parents and adults. It's very hard. So sometimes they use drugs to self-medicate, to try to heal that guilt and shame that takes, their health away and peace and joy and love and acceptance. Sometimes they go to apathy, grief, and fear. So there is the therapy, social work, the doctors, nurses, psychiatrists, psychologists, yoga teachers to help them to learn how to vibrate with, the homeopathics, meditation. This is worth looking into, I think, especially for those times we are living now in the pandemics and the social unrest of crisis. Here we have forgive the quality I got from the internet, but it shows the levels that that energy and quality of the soul and you know the vibration, the emotions that are connected. You see, despair and blame and regret and anxiety, cravings. See, crave is desire for um, drug abuse, alcohol is right here, and life feel you know perfect, completely meaningful, hopeful, satisfactory, and those hopeless, tragic, frightening, disappointing. This is worth looking into and how the research I've been doing, the books and experience about, some kind of healing massage, homeopathy, flowers, meditation, you know, higher higher power. Again, well, this is a notional scale and work in progress by Dave D. Hawkins. Um, they also, you know, their thoughts. I'm bad. I'm not worthy. I can't do this. I have shame, guilt, and depression. I was abused as a child. I was abused as an immigrant, as a gay and lesbian, as a handicap, social demographics. All professionals have to take a look, all adults, parents, they have to take teachers, they have to take into consideration all of this. And sometimes you don't even need like a birth chart, to look at this is in their face, their expression, in the shape of their uh, shoulders, the words they use, their feelings and thoughts. It's part of the problem, but it's also part of the solution and healing. Finally, I would like to leave some thoughts, food for thoughts, showing the stars as connections in the brain, the light, that connects all the dots with all the planets, all the values, because the universe is not punishing anybody through, conjunctions or a square of Saturn and Pluto. It's just responding to the gravitational attitude that we are sending to, each other, to the universe of, doing what we love, uh, working our healings, thinking of frequency and vibration, really. Maybe astrology really talks about, the translation of energy and vibration itself. So it's a part of solution. So if the changes within us and in our soul, in our mind, we have just to knock at the door and respond or ask the right questions, the new vibration individually through meditation, the food we eat, the people we love and get together, family, lovers, students, co-workers, political parties, and so forth and so on. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard to go through all those slow planets, heavy aspects and conjunctions through, this century, those decades, until all of them go through the end of the zodiac and start again. So the beginning of the zodiac. So here is the books that inspired me and helped me. Okay, The Cosmos and Psyche by Richard Turner has a lot of talk about cycles, healing problem. I really love and miss Donna, because you have to have, with Pluto, you have, and Saturn, you have to be, uh, honest and face it and, you know, give it its name, true names, and maybe do some crying. Man's Work is the book. Paul Kibel, said Knievel, but it's Kibel, Paul Kibel, right, in California. Um, there is a CD, there is a Man's Work, that, pyramid of vulnerability, demographics, and violence. Please look into this book. We're going to learn a lot of things that's going to help educators, parents, teachers, social workers, therapists, psychologists, astrologers. And Carolyn Casey also um, talk about of this mask of gods that uh, um, instead of punishing us, working for us. We have this in Portuguese now as well. The charts I was use solar fire to do them, the illustration from internet websites, so I don't have the you know the copyrights. So, but they are really helpful, especially for those who are visual. Um, a person like myself, music from the YouTube about Carmen and Verena, and the planetary nodes we can get from solar fire, but I got from the web release of 1980 that was also used by Carl Painting. So this is the kind of work that I prepare and I bring to you now. I hope you enjoyed. You have a lot on your plate now to do some thinking, some reflections, some um, research. I hope it helps with you and your family, your practice, your life, your students, your writings. You can use any ideas from this work. Please just mention the source of information from the website or from our work. I'm Fernando Guimarães, Brazilian from Campinas City, São Paulo State, you know, Brazil. It was presented in 2019 and now 2020, this work. And I hope I'll do some more for other, great cycles, conjunctions, and eclipses, because this is the cosmic deal, right? This is the cosmic drama we're going now through, and we have a lot. I really think that in the next maybe 6 to 9 years, with all the transitions and changes of signs, slow planets going into air signs like Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus to go into Gemini. Have you noticed that the very, very slow planetoid Saturn is going to meet Uranus, or Uranus is going to meet Saturn in Gemini? That's a big change. I think all these cooking TV shows are going to end, and start with changing the media, and transportation. But we have Neptune going into Aries, right? Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto into Aquarius. That's going to be fun, I guess. I think so. My sun is Stellium, Sagittarius. Say this. Let's hope. Okay. So I used to be a member, a fan in CGR Boston, CNA, Central National Group of Astrology in Brazil. And I thank you very much. I really would love to have feedbacks